Central Empire Wrestling presents Bridge City Slam 6 live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. Come see Jake the Snake Roberts, Buff Bagwell, former WWE Tag Team Champions Demolition, Real One Enzo Amore, The Powers of Pain, The Boogeyman, Snitsky, Jordan Grace, Cameron Brene, and the stars of CEW. Tickets start at just $20 and include the Fan Fest from 4 to 7 p.m. Get your tickets through Ticketmaster or at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. It's Bridge City Slam 6, live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. New Life Fellowship in Keswick, Iowa is hosting the Victorious Living Conference Friday, August 23rd through Sunday, August 25th, with guest pastors Luke and Jana Hobbs from Tennessee. You're invited to make plans to join New Life Fellowship in Keswick for this dynamic time of anointed worship, teaching, and ministry. New Life Fellowship is located just south of Keswick on Highway 22. The conference schedule is Friday, August 23rd at 7 p.m., Saturday, August 24th at 6 p.m., and Sunday, August 25th at 6 p.m. We hope to see you for the Victorious Living Conference. Watch Pekin Panther football live right here this fall on Steve Shetler Media, Facebook, and YouTube with live announcers and an updated scoreboard, plus an area scoreboard to keep you updated on other schools of interest. It's Pekin Panther football live right here on Steve Shetler Media starting Friday, August 30th.
Welcome to this edition of Morgan Asked For podcast. Wednesday night, August 14th, about 9 o'clock. Getting that much closer to football. We're 2 weeks and 3 days away from Iowa State playing, and then it's full go from there. Trev's is back with us again, so back-to-back weeks, and I think we got it worked out for next week, so we should be good to go all the way leading up to football for us to work out to do the podcast here. Several different things here. A little bit, Trevor brought this to my attention, but being a local hero here, I'm going to say that. Oskaloosa, athlete, Hawkeye football legend. Tyler Sash has a documentary coming out here, and we just looked it up. Trevor just did. The 27th, so just over 10 days, about 10 days away here. I had no idea this was coming up. Trev sent me it, and I'll let Trev talk. He was friends with Tyler, and obviously being in Oskaloosa at that time. I was not in Oskaloosa. I was at Eddyville when he was in high school and everything, and then I went to Ottumwa. I was living in Pella at the time of this was all going on when he was in high school. And obviously I moved here and everything and followed his career and everything. Trev, I'll kind of turn the floor over to you about this Tyler Sash documentary.
Well, first, like we were talking before we got started, I had no idea this was even being made. I know I talked to Steven Staggs. He had no idea. I don't think a lot of people did. It just randomly popped up on my YouTube and I clicked to watch it, and I definitely wasn't expecting it. It hit home pretty hard with that. When Tyler did die, ESPN did a special shortly after they did the test on his brain. And, a lot of this stuff I wouldn't have talked about on here before, but since the family's doing this, I think it's okay to talk about some of these things now finally. But yeah, definitely wasn't expecting it. And like I said, I think the family kept this pretty under wraps until now. Now the trailer's out. Comes out the 27th, so definitely going to be interested to watch it.
And there's big names in this. It is called Concussed, right? Is that the name of it, or at least that's what I saw of it? Correct?
Concussion: The American Dream.
Yeah, and I was a little bit confused when you sent it to me. I was a little confused by it because that's Brett Favre's picture with it. It's not Tyler's picture, so I was like. But you're a Brett Favre fan too, so it didn't completely surprise me that it was, you sent me that with knowing that you're a Brett Favre fan, but and the American dream is true. He was a great athlete, not just in football. I would say his love was basketball. When I was at Eddyville Blacksburg, we went against Oskaloosa, and he was an unbelievable basketball player. And I think, and basketball's kind of, his brother's a Division I basketball coach at Drake now, just been at Indian Hills a few times. But being 6 foot tall and a guard, his way to make money would have been in football. And he realized that. And another local guy, Brandon Myers from PCM, was that same boat. And right about the same time, and they both went to Iowa and played football. Both end up playing for the Giants. I mean, it was kind of just both of them understood where if they wanted to make money playing sports, which every kid that plays sports, that's their dream. You ask every kid in high school, you ask every kid in college, what do they want to do? They want to go to the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NBA or whatever sport you're doing, you want to play it professionally. And they understood. And I want to give both their families credit, understanding that they did it. Playing football was their ticket out. Now, they both would have got scholarships and been able to play college basketball. And I believe Tyler Sash, actually, at Iowa State, was offered to do both. From what I was told or heard, they were going to let him try both. Now, realistically, it would not have worked. But that was their recruiting pitch to try to get Tyler to come to Iowa State, was they were going to let him try both.
Yeah, definitely basketball was his first love, as you mentioned, only being 5'11", 6 foot. He definitely could have played basketball in college, but making it to the NBA, it would have been obviously extremely difficult. Choosing the right path there, at least looking back in the day before they knew the trauma that would come, it was the right call because he had a great success career at Iowa, played a couple years for the Giants, got to win a Super Bowl ring, got to do a lot of amazing things. The thing I remember looking back on is when I worked at the golf course at Oski Golf with Doug DeCock, worked in the pro shop most every day. And when Tyler was back, he bought a membership. And looking back on it now, it makes so much sense. But back then, I just thought he was really forgetful. He would come in and he would buy Gatorade and go back out to his golf cart and come back in and buy a bag of teas, go back out to his golf cart, come back in and buy a ball marker. And that was pretty regular. And, looking back on it now, all the warning signs, I guess, were there that, he was a little bit different. His mom spoke about that. So I feel comfortable saying that now that it's out there, but it definitely makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I've met Tyler a handful of times in my life. I don't know Tyler. When he did, get done with football and move back here, you saw him around town. Not a lot. I didn't play golf out there very much. But you did see him. I knew his dad more, being the PE teacher in Oskaloosa here forever and ever. Just spent time doing things and seeing him at different places. And again, didn't know him well, but knew him more as just a colleague, as a PE teacher here locally.
Yeah, everybody knows Mike Sash. Anybody that went to Oski, we all had him as a PE teacher. And me and Cody have always talked about that's probably the best PE teacher we ever had. He always set up all these cool little tournaments and games. His dad, Mike, would keep stats of like wiffle ball that we played in the gym, have standings. So you actually you got to feel a little bit like a pro when you were a kid. So that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, Tyler came back. He ran the Tyler Sash tournament there at Oski Golf for a couple of years. Got to help with that, which was pretty fun. But yeah, as you mentioned, Brett Favre was in it. I didn't know what I was watching at first either when I clicked on it, and I wasn't expecting Brett Favre to talk about Tyler at the end. So he obviously knows the story, and I'm guessing was in talks with the family.
I would assume so. Obviously his mom was in it. I'm assuming his brother is in it. They've both been on ESPN and talking about how if they had to do it again, they wouldn't have let him play football. that's what I wanted to talk about. And you knew Tyler the best out of us two and knew him really well. You grew up with him. Were you in the same class with him or 1 year different?
1 year below.
1 year below. I couldn't remember if you were the same or just 1 year below. But you were friends with him and grew up with him and knew him well. And, you know, as someone that never had that ability, and Trev, you can say that too, would you give up a lot of things to do what he was able to do in sports? I probably would. And they know what they're getting into. And obviously, unfortunately, his ending was much quicker than most. And I'm going to say more tragic than most. But he lived a dream. He got paid to play sports. And a lot of people give up a lot of things to do that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Brett Favre said that in the video. He don't know if he would change a thing. And of course, you'd expect those guys that played 10, 15, 20 years that this would happen to, not
right.
Someone that only played 2 years in the NFL. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking back when this was all happening, when he was going to Iowa, when he was in the NFL, it was extremely exciting. You could have never seen, well, at least back then, you could have never seen this coming. As far as yeah, I mean, it'd be tough to say no to get to be a star at a big time football program, to get to play in the pros, win a Super Bowl ring. It would definitely be, that part would be worth it. But then to have your life cut short at that age, it's tough. And that's why a lot of parents have a tough decision to make nowadays. At what age do they let their kids play football and what age do they let them play tackle football? I think that's the big thing now going on. You can speak more to that, knowing that the kind of the junior high and the high school football aspect of it.
Yeah, I would say football is as safe as it's ever been. Almost to the detriment of the game, in my opinion. That's just you look at the NFL kickoff rules. It's almost hard to watch. But it's because of these situations that's happened. The NFL, they can't hit at practice. And everybody says, why can't anybody tackle us? Because they don't practice it anymore. High schools, I cannot speak to what college is now, but they don't practice 2-3 times a day in pads like we used to. I know that. I don't know what the rules are for college, but it's just not realistic to do anymore. And in college, there's only so many hours you can hit a week. Everybody's understood now. The safety equipment's better. You see those helmet guardians that people put on top. It's not a perfect thing. It just helps. And that is why a lot of linemen have issues or anything, is the repeated hits. Now, Tyler wasn't a lineman, but he got, like his hit that, Tyler won a Super Bowl, but unfortunately he was not able to play in the Super Bowl, correct? Because he got taken out in the championship game, correct?
He dressed for the game. He dressed for the Super Bowl game. But yeah, that hit in the NFC Championship game was one of the most brutal you'll see.
Right. And there's no part. I mean, you can legislate everything. There's no part of that hit in the game. Used to be much more. Now it has been taken out. Much like, I think it was Kurt Warner got one of those hits, just turn back and just take someone out when they're not even looking. But football is as safe as it's ever been. It's not 100% safe. Nothing is. I always use the comparison and yes, could something bad happen to your son or daughter playing football? Absolutely. But they also can get hurt doing anything else. And I always use the car analogy. Your son or daughter is way more likely to get in a car wreck and get hurt or killed than getting hurt or, something happened to them in football. But you're not going to you're going to not let them drive. Everybody lets their kids drive. So I understand every family has to make that decision. And I'm on the opposite side. My son doesn't want to play football, and I would like him to. So I've never had that decision truly to make. He likes soccer and stuff, and next year he'll be in 7th grade. I already had a conversation, go out to be a kicker. And then secretly, I kind of hope the coach makes him do a little things and maybe he'll like it or whatever. My son likes football. We go to every Iowa State game. He watches it on TV. He plays, football in his video games. We started soccer when he was 3 or 4, and he's really like that. And it's hard. It's pretty much impossible to do those two sports. I'm not going to say you couldn't do it, but those two sports do not click at all with time and everything.
Yeah, every family's got a tough decision to make. There's no right or wrong answer. You talk about the Guardian pads that a lot of players are wearing, especially the linemen. A little bit of a misconception is, and I know what you mean by it because the game has definitely changed, but people like to say, nobody hits anymore, nobody gets tackled in games. I'm talking.
Right. Well,
players still get tackled. They still get hit hard. There's just more penalties called. Quarterbacks still get thrown to the ground occasionally. It's not as bad as it used to, as you mentioned, but there still are hits that take place. And yeah, it's just a tough decision. What age, like I said, if your kid wants to play football, tackle football, at what age do you allow it? And I think that's really more of a struggle now too. I don't have kids, but I don't know what the right or wrong answer is.
There isn't one.